Hello, my name is Mickey Garris, and I'm from Dallas. And I'm a business owner. I own a sporting goods store, so I can absolutely attest that the state background check system is broken. And I can also tell you that I'm a coach. I'm a father. I'm a husband. And it concerns me that you guys are wanting to even pass new gun laws. There's enough gun laws on the books today that if we enforce those and give our sheriffs and our law enforcement the tools they need and the funding they need, we'd be able to prevent much of these crimes. You can't legislate crime. In our United States Constitution, it says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Well, Senate Bill 941 absolutely is an infringement because it's nothing more than a ban on private party transactions. We all know that this country is born with the blood of the brave men and women, not afraid to fight against tyranny and the armies of the evil king. We do well not to forget these lessons. Many events took place leading up to our revolution. Our brave founding fathers sculpted the Declaration of Independence in our Constitution. They crafted our Bill of Rights, knowing firsthand the cost of freedom. While historians don't always agree on every detail, one thing they know to be absolute is our independence never could have been possible if the colonists did not have access to firearms. Now, we live in a crazy world, and evil is among us. Allow us a chance to be the first line and the last line of defense, just as the founding fathers did. I'm asking you to choose liberty and freedom above all else. The immediate threat in this country is not firearms. The threat is a tyrannical government. In 1774, Parliament passed the Coercive Act to import ban on firearms and powder. In 1775, General Thomas Gage began to confiscate those guns, and that was what started our Revolutionary War. So please allow me to be clear, we aren't quite yet at the revolution. However, we are definitely past the Boston Tea Party. Our cause we leave to heaven and our righteous.
Thank you, Mr. Garris. And if you would like to also submit that as written testimony, I really thank you. Very powerful words. Sir.
Very well. Emphasizing your point.
Okay, sir, can you identify yourself for the record?
My name is David Terry. I'm from McLeanville, Oregon. I've been at 10 o'clock this morning waiting to get mine. I did not prepare a written comment, but I would like to make a point about duplicity and presumptions that are being made in support of this bill. Number one, has anybody considered the fact that no one has really defined criminal? They assume that a criminal is violent. But when that has a criminal record, he may have been checking evidence. He could have been shoplifting. There's all kinds of crimes in this country that don't involve violence. So a blanket prohibition of criminal development from having guns is ridiculous. Makes no sense whatsoever. Further, are we aware that the fact that the three most dangerous places in this country, New York City, Miami, Florida, and Washington, D.C., as far as gun deaths is concerned, have the most stringent gun laws of any other places in the states? There's a lot of distortion of facts here because people are not paying attention to the details. Like my neighbor here said, the Constitution states clearly that our fundamental right to protect ourselves with a gun is absolutely inalienable. And this body has absolutely no right, no constitutional right or moral right to interfere. And that's basically all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Sir.
Good afternoon, Representative Hoyle, members of the committee. My name is Frank Martin. I'm a retired senior NCO, non-commissioned officer of the United States Air Force, veteran of Iraqi freedom and global war on terrorism medal. I'm here today to speak against Senate Bill 941, and I consider I'm just going to state that I support all opposition that was given to you earlier today before me. The head of the Northwest Firearm kind of stole my thunder. The stores such as Cabela's, Bi-Mart, Fred Meyer, and other big box stores that make up the majority of gun sales in the state are not going to be taking in private transfers for firearms. Their insurance won't let it, and their business model won't let it. And I'm concerned that many of the gun store owners that will do this might not do it also because of the liability concerns. And Representative Williams, you mentioned earlier this morning about rural people in Oregon have to ship their firearms. A quick check of the shippers that we can use. U.S. mail, you cannot, a private citizen cannot mail a firearm. UPS, only firearm dealers can ship a firearm. So that leaves Federal Express. So add to the basic cost of this charge about $50 to send a firearm anywhere by Federal Express. And that just tells you volumes of what's going on here. It's not about gun safety. It is about controlling the private individual's ability to sell their private property. No other item in Oregon is going to be registered that way. You can sell a house without a license. You can sell a car without a license. But now a firearm, you got to go through a background check, and I consider that another infringement of our freedoms. Under the Second Amendment, Section 27 of the Oregon State Constitution, and private property rights. And I thank you for the time.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Representative McLane.
Yes, sir, thank you for your service. You brought up a good point. Would you be willing to do something for me? Would you get FedEx costs? Maybe email that to me, or in other words, you said it was about $50 to ship. I'm just curious because I didn't know the UPS, you couldn't ship UPS, but you brought up a good point, only FedEx.
Only Federal Express allows an individual firearm owner to ship a firearm. Federal Express allows an individual owner to ship a firearm. I had to ship a firearm on a warranty case, and I wasn't given an authorization to do it, so it cost me $50 to ship that a pistol weighing approximately 6 pounds to Florida for repair.
All right, well, I don't want to unduly burden. I'm sure I can find someone else to do it, but since you brought it up,
We can get that
it
information.
would just be helpful because that
I
adds
will
to the
try
cost.
to, Representative McLean, I will be happy to try to look it up and see what I can give
I
you.
appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Whenever you're ready, sir. Whoever would like to start.
I guess it was God's name.
Okay.
My name is Jim Michel. I'm from the Sheridan area, Pope and Yamhill County. Houses in Yamhill, farms in Pope, split personality. I am here today in opposition to Senate Bill 941. Everybody else is pretty well covered just about everything. I want to cover a couple of things here. I've talked with other law enforcement officers. I've talked with a couple of attorneys. I have some firearms that are currently on loan to a museum this bill. Their attorney has already told me if it passes, he wants me to immediately remove those guns from the museum. They will not be covered. They'll have to run a background check on me to get them through if this has actually become law. I want guns. They're in possession of the museum. Same way with it going the other way if I take them out to the museum. My shooting activities as a member of a competition team, we trade firearms all the time. I've got an Anschutz competition .22 rifle that belongs to a friend of mine right now. I don't want to spend $1,300 on it when I can borrow one. He's got me 40 back. One of my hobbies is tinkering around and working on them. I fix firearms for my hunting partners, refinish the stock, put scopes on them, usually have them for anywhere from a few days to maybe a month. Can't do that anymore, I'm not licensed, and the bill says you have to be commercial. Transfer to a friend for hunting when the friend's gonna have it for a while. I help out a disabled veteran, has no legs. He has a shotgun of mine right now. His wife's gonna take him turkey hunting. He's gonna probably have it for 2 months. It's not an immediate hunting activity. It's covered by this bill. I'll have to go get it back. There goes that.
Thank you, and you're welcome to submit written testimony. If there's
Yes,
something
sir.
that you're not able to say that you'd like to submit, then we are going to get it back.
It's been submitted as of 10 o'clock this morning. I did not see it on Iowa sheet. So.
Okay, as you can imagine, there's lots, but we will get it up there and it will be on the public record. Thank you very much.
My name is John Woods. I moved here from Rochester, New York. I went through the pistol permit process in New York. To get a pistol or a gun in New York, it takes a background check, it takes fingerprints, it takes 3 character witness statements taken, a $250 fee, photographs, and a 6-month waiting period to finish that paperwork. With all of that paperwork and checks, while I lived in the suburbs of Rochester, New York, there were 30 to 45 handgun murders in the city of Rochester. In 2014, after the Wanted Safe Act was passed, Rochester, New York had 34 murders, which was an average. In Buffalo, New York, in 2014, after the passage of the Safe Act, Buffalo had 51 firearm homicides, which is an increase of 11. So with all of these background checks and everything, there's 2 cities in upstate New York that basically overcame the number of homicides in Oregon. My presumption is Oregon doesn't have a gun problem. Oregon has a city problem just like every other state.
Thank you very much, sir. Yourself.
Madam Chairperson and citizen legislators, multi-guy from the city of Albany. I'm operations and project manager in several manufacturing fields, EMT and BLS instructor. I oppose this bill, but I want
Could you identify yourself?
Walter Dyer. I oppose this bill, but I 100% support the enforcement activities that I gather are the intent of the drafters of this bill. That we want to restrict the ability of dangerous individuals under the current control of their restriction of their Second Amendment rights. We do not, however, support additional legislation that duplicates other avenues of control that will primarily hinder law-abiding citizens. It only adds costs and wastes what precious resources we have available to us today. I understand the fear of straw purchases. However, this bill will not dissuade criminals from performing these criminal acts. The only resolution I see is dollars spent on enforcement. As New York City solved their problem, it wasn't legislation hearing that cleaned up the cities. It was boots on the ground enforcing the laws already in place. I plead Oregon and this legislative body to do the same. Illegal guns will never be controlled by new legislation, but only by the enforcement of the laws that make them illegal in the first place. This bill will do nothing but make law-abiding citizens afraid of persecution for interpretation of the bill and its dangerous phrases like reasonable suspicion. I've got friends from the Guard that now I don't know if this bill passes if I can hand them the gun at the range to fire because they might have been discharged unhonorably. How am I going to know this to be a law-abiding citizen? I quote President Thomas Jefferson to provide an alternative wording to the spirit of my opposition. Those who desire to give up freedom in order to gain security will not have, nor do they deserve, either one. This bill is not but surrendering freedom for no reasonable documented gain. Please do not offer a bill that will let others take away my freedom to free commerce under current restrictions of legislation, but stop this bill now and refocus the efforts on effective enforcement and reduction of crime overall that will ensure greater safety dollar for dollar. And please make sure that we get to vote on it. Representative,
Thank you.
please.
Thank you. With that, Peter Graham, Cameron Slovic, Gabriel Dillon Smith-Rogers, and after that, we will have Terry Fassett, Andrew Hansen, and